Hey guys, so we're downstairs here at the Fanimation Fan Museum. You may recognize this from my previous museum video. I turned the belt fans on just because I couldn't help myself. And then you remember we looked in here before and we did a detailed tour of what's in here. Well, I'm just finished the upstairs, or at least my portion of the upstairs, so let's go ahead and take a look. That leads to the warehouse. We'll go there in a different video. There's some stuff here. And a giant Casablanca clock here. There's actually a lot of stuff all down this hallway. We'll go there in a different video too. Painless dentist upstairs. And then a ton of old fan ads. These are really cool. I used to have the Jim Daggs book that had all of these in it. For all I know, that's where Tom got these from. You can see there's no space wasted as far as fans. Then you're upstairs. There's the office area. We'll go there in another video. Here's the conference room. We'll go there in another video. And through here is the second floor of the museum. So you come in, and this second floor is still work in progress, but my work is done, unless they ask me to change something. And I'm sure we'll update it more in the future, hopefully change the lighting or power up some fans or something. And so you can see there's fan ads all over the walls, and we have completed hanging up vintage ceiling fans all throughout the room. Okay. First, I'm just going to give you a run-by of the stuff that's in the room. Ignore the sodas. They're mine and people I've been working with. There are several Fanimation fans scattered in here as well. Ones that were near plugs I've turned on because it's been very hot working in here. It's a dentist chair with a fan in it. All these Hasek fans here. More ads. Going quickly through everything because in order to see the details, you gotta come visit. It's a gas-powered fan there. That Air King is actually mine. I bought it at Fanfare. Somebody put it in the auction, and I didn't have room in my car to take it back. So I said, "Hey Tom, these aren't, valuable, but they're pretty hard to find. Do you want one in the museum?" And he said, "Of course." So go down the center. I love this little Westinghouse. I like the bigger version even better. Oops, looks like that pen and paper is mine. Thought I cleaned up everything, but clearly I'm missing. I literally just finished and cleaned up and packed my tools up. Tom's new thing is furnace blower motors. So he's got some cast iron ones. Some of this stuff is just really cool to me. I mean, I love the ceiling fans downstairs and a lot of the desk fans, but stuff like this is just so random. I appreciate this even more. I have one of those, and I have one of those, although it needs work. I used to have one of those. I miss it. I would love to have that. I would love even more to have that. Hopefully this beautiful Century will be going up downstairs. I guess I could offer to help with that, but we'll see. So now for the parts you've been waiting for. Let's take a look at all the ceiling fans. We're going to start back here at the beginning. Excuse me, I should probably bring my water with me. So first up is this Casablanca Centennial. These were from the early 80s. I don't remember exactly when. It's a beautiful replica of an antique fan. Tom actually made a lot of these himself, and so this is one of the fans that he specifically requested that I bring. I bought it from a thrift store in my hometown of Madison, Wisconsin, and someone had donated it to them that had been a Casablanca dealer or the wife of a Casablanca dealer, and it wasn't just like a thrift store find, like, oh, it was in a box for $5. If they knew what it was and they knew it was valuable, and you know. So there's the Casablanca Centennial. Next we have this Homestead Whisperfan III. I got this from fellow collector Adam DeBauer of VintageCeilingFans.com. I felt that Homestead should be represented in the museum, and it was kind of hard. I didn't have any real obscure model Homesteads, but these Whisperfan 3s are particularly cool, and they're a cute little 6-blade, and this is the only one I've ever seen in copper finish, so to me that made it worthy of coming. This is a Codep Model 100. I think they also had a model name, but I'm blanking on what that was. I think I've got a video of this fan. Okay, just to backtrack, I have a video of this fan operating on my YouTube channel. I have a video of this fan operating on my YouTube channel, and I believe in the video for this fan, I believe I have it with the model name. It's a 2-speed cast iron spinner motor with a housing. And they're a very unique design, and they're hard to find, and a lot of collectors like them. I think they were made in Hong Kong. So definitely wanted to include that. And I can't remember exactly when they'd be from. I think we could look it up. I'm guessing very early 80s. So here is a Nutone Friction Drive ceiling fan. This one came specifically for the museum, courtesy of Jay Bernard. And this is another one that I thought would be an ideal fan for here. These are also pretty rare and hard to find, and a lot of times people don't hang on to them because friction drives are pretty crappy ceiling fans. Casablanca apparently tried it and didn't like it. Emerson started doing it in the late 70s and did it for a few years. Nutone did the best job of it with these. It's still pretty bad. There's just a smaller box fan motor there that drives the rubber wheel, and then that drives the blades. So they can go pretty fast, but they're noisy and they cannot go slow. This would have been 79. The earliest ones were reverse pitched. So that's pretty cool. Next we have this Southern Fan Company Terra ceiling fan. This is one of my prized possessions here. Anybody who watches my videos or knows me personally knows it's one of my favorite fans. And this is the only one that I've ever found with the stencil blades. That's a very odd distinctive stencil that wouldn't fit in everywhere, but I thought it'd be great for here as it's so distinctive. Also notice that it's both white, polished brass, and antique brass. Parts of it are polished and parts of it are antique, which is an interesting combination of finishes. I had this with me when I lived in Virginia and then shipped it back to Wisconsin. This is a Patton ceiling fan, or at least what we believe to be a Patton. We can't find any make on it, but it shares several parts and features with Pattons. This was given to me by fellow fan collector Jeremy Mulligan. Although he didn't give it to me specifically for the museum, I felt that it'd be fitting. The bottom plate is a GE Oak Leaf replica, but the rest of the fan is kind of its own. This is the only one that we've ever seen or found like this. It's got a 3-speed knob on the side that goes low, high, medium. Everything about it is odd. Okay. This is a gear-driven fan. It's labeled Odyssey Company Creations. As you can see, the blades, blade arms, and hub are identical to Casablanca, and so is the housing, although the housing is actually solid brass. Casablanca used cast aluminum. So Tom saw this and thought it was Casablanca, and he assumes they must have bought the parts from him. Goes on 1 speed, slow, makes noise. That's pretty cool. Only one known like that. This is another Nutone. This would have been from 1980. This was their first attempt at an industrial fan. You can see they used the same blades as their friction drive fan, and then just put them on a stack motor with a metal flywheel and a plastic housing. Several of these have been spotted, but I don't know of any other collectors that have them, and a lot of collectors want them, so I figured that was a fitting commercial fan. Here is a Casablanca Columbia 500. This was the limited run they made of 500 fans. This is fan number 55. Also from Tom's hands in the early days of Casablanca. Turns out that these were technically 2-speed. You could change the belt inside and get either 25 RPM or 50 RPM. I believe this one's set to 50, and I didn't know you could change it. I would have rather had it at 25. I have a video up of this operating, but it's poor quality. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to mention it. I have a video of other Terras, but not this one. I have videos of other friction drives, but not this one. I have a video of this specific Patton. Do not remember if I have a video of this or not. I'm thinking not. I have a video of this Nutone. I have an old video of this Columbia from before I had a good quality camera. But you can at least see it operate. Okay, moving on. This is the Fasco World's Fair in the 38-inch size. While not super rare, these are definitely desirable to collectors of vintage fans. Everybody wants one, and they are a lot harder to find in the small size. So here's another Casablanca. This is a Casablanca 20th century. It's a replica of the Westinghouse Deluxe in copper. This is the only one that's, as I know, has ever been seen in copper finish. And it's got the cane blades, which is just so much with the overly ornate fan, the copper finish, and the cane is just way over the top, but I like that. Has the K63 motor. This is an early one. I don't remember if I looked at the date on it or not. It had to be, I'd think 78 or 79. Here's another old Casablanca. This is a Victorian and or CB1. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention where these came from. So let's backtrack a little bit. I bought this years ago, I don't remember where. This was a trade from another collector that is not around anymore, unfortunately. I mean, they're alive, I assume. I just haven't heard from them in decades. This, I believe I bought on eBay. This friend of mine picked this up for me, specifically for the museum. It was on Craigslist somewhere in Michigan. This also came from Jeremy Mulligan as a gift to me. Again, not for the museum, but that's what I decided to do with it. This one was a joint effort between myself and Louis Weedman. He had the motor, I had the blades, and we just pieced together everything else to make it complete. This is a very early Victorian or CB1. And also from Tom's days at Casablanca. This is a lot earlier than the Columbia is, so maybe this would be 75. I don't know. We'll ask Tom when he gets back. This is a Japanese-made KDK and or Panasonic fan from the early 80s, made in Japan. I thought that we should represent something from that region, and these are pretty unique. Not very many of them have been found. Here we have an Emerson Casablanca Classic, the plain version. This is one of the Emerson fans that bore the Casablanca name, which there was a disagreement between Emerson and Casablanca about at some points, and I'm sure Tom will tell us that story. These are fairly common fans, except one has never been seen in brushed nickel finish before, and one has never been seen in a smaller than 52-inch size before. I think this is 44-inch. I measured it, I don't remember now. And I used to tell people I had a brushed nickel 44-inch Casablanca Classic, and nobody believed me. They said that never existed. So I figure if nobody believes that it existed, then that's a good candidate for the museum. Plus, people love Casablanca Classics. Even though they're fairly common, they're beloved among collectors of vintage fans, especially the plain ones. Here's a Sanyo from 1975. This came courtesy of Vincent Del Pizzo, who traded me for it so that we could put it in the museum. These were also made in Japan. They were sold under the Dayton and Lasco labels in white with 4 blades, and those are referred to as Dayton Lascos, and they're very popular among collectors. But this 3-blade version is very obscure and rare, and I think one other one has been spotted, or a collector has, or something to that effect. So given that the 4-blade version is so popular that collectors love it, and then the 3-blade version is very rare, I thought that was fitting. This is a Hunter 2nd century original from the early 90s. There are a lot of collectors that love 90s era Hunters. And I was trying to think of a 90s era Hunter that wasn't so common. That wasn't having something that you can see everywhere. But I wanted to represent that. And this is a cast iron oil bath motor, just like any other Hunter original from before 2002. But they changed the look of it a little bit to make it more modern. It was a limited run fan. They had it in a few different finishes, and a lot of people really like these as well. This came to me by way of Anthony Terendi, another fan collector, many years ago. I don't think he realizes that it's now in the museum, but I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that. Here's another one that's very important to me. The Island Fan Company, Plantation fans. Like the Terra fan, this is one of the fans that's especially special to me. Although I never knew they made them in this smaller size. When I saw them as a kid, they were 52-inch. And I think that they're even, I think they're even stranger looking and just really weird and distinctive, especially in the smaller size. It's a stack motor in there, Westinghouse version of the K55, and everything on it is plastic housing, plastic flywheel, plastic switch housing. It's a 2-speed reversible fan. They were made in Grand Rapids, Michigan in the early 80s. As far as I know, I am the only collector that has any of these in the small size, and I think only one other collector has one of these in any size. They're also very obscure, so definitely a good fit for here. This is a fan that has stumped us. We don't know who makes it. It's not Casablanca. It's solid brass. Switch housing, blade brackets, flywheel, motor housing, everything on it is solid brass. It's got a 3-speed or 2-speed, I can't remember which, a universal brand stack motor in there, KD5 style motor. Those are not the original blades, although the original blades would have looked the same except the tips would have been wing tips instead of pointed tips. And the canopy would have been a little bigger, but it would have been a smooth canopy like that. We've seen a few of these in restaurants, and people have taken pictures of them in restaurants. I think we know of 3 or 4 other ones that exist or existed if they haven't been removed already. But no one else has one and no one else knows what they are. This is an Emerson, a mid-70s model that was sold through Sears under the turn of the century label. They basically took what we call a blender fan, which was Emerson's heat fan series. We called them a blender fan because they looked like a blender with blades stuck on the bottom. But what they really were was a washing machine motor, the K63, with blades stuck on the bottom. But in this case, they took the washing machine motor with blades stuck on the bottom and added a plastic motor housing. And generally speaking, vintage collectors like anything with a K63 motor. And then you take a K63 motor and slap a housing on there, and that's even cooler. This is the only one that anybody has seen, to my knowledge, with that weird decorative sideband. It just looks like some decals of leaves that are on there, but it appears to be that way from the factory. I have one other one like this that has a different decoration on the sideband, so it's clearly something that Emerson did. It's a 2-speed fan. Okay, here we have a Fasco heat cycler, which is one of a lot of collectors' very favorite commercial fans. This was Fasco's version of the same Nutone thing that we saw over there, and what we were referring to as Emerson blender fan or heat fan, just a stack motor with blades stuck on the bottom, sold as a commercial fan. And Fasco actually used a much larger stack motor in this than they did in their residential fans, so these are quite beefy. You can see the blade brackets have little fins to cool the motor. I don't know if that's showing up in the video. I'll try to use the zoom. The zoom on this thing sucks. I have a video of this up if you want to see that. Just backtracking because I think I forgot. I have a video of the K63 20th century. I have a video of the Fasco. Do not have a video of this. I have a video of the KDK. I have a video of the Casablanca Classic. I have a video of the Sanyo. Do not have a video of the 2nd century. I have a video of the Small Island fans. I have a video of the unknown solid brass fan. Do not have a video of the Emerson. I have several videos of this heat cycle. I think I have several, or at least I have 1 or 2. So I wanted to have at least one spinner fan. And a spinner fan is when we have a spinner motor that has no additional housing and just blades tacked onto it. This is an SMC, and it's the same style as the Laguna. I don't know if this model was actually called the Laguna, because the unique thing about this is that it's 24 karat gold plated. If you look on the top of the motor, there's a little sticker that says it's 24 karat gold plated. As far as I know, this is the only 24 karat gold plated SMC with a switch housing and light kit that's turned up. There are a few that have turned up that have no switch housing and no light kit. So that's pretty cool. So the Island fan, for those who didn't know, was a copy of the Hunter original. We'll look at a Hunter original a little bit later on. Here's another copy of the Hunter original made by Magic Heat, also of Michigan. This fan is very odd. The whole thing is plastic down to the blade arms. Instead of a pull chain, it has a knob that has 3 distinct speeds. Has a Westinghouse motor in there, but a very small one, so the thing does not go very fast. I have a video of this. These are very obscure, and only a few of them have been found. They probably didn't make them for very long. This is a Quoizel. I think I'm saying it right. I've said it wrong so many times. I'll have to ask Tom again how to pronounce it. It's a GE stack motor inside a housing with a glass sideband, blades with glass inserts, and then glass on the light kit, all with their well-known Abigail Adams pattern. I thought it would be nice to have a glass housing fan with the glass blade inserts in the museum. A lot of import companies copied this design and did something similar, and so this was a very popular style in the 80s, but there are very few American-made ones, and this is one of them. I think this is the only one that any collector has. I've seen a few of them pop up on Craigslist, but I don't think anybody actually bought them because they were not local to anybody, and you really don't want to ship something with a glass sideband if you can help it. And I believe I made a video of this. I bought this off of Craigslist in Minneapolis many years ago because my mom liked the blue floral pattern. I'm trying to remember to include all the various stories, but I'm probably missing some. Next, we have an Emerson Stratojet. This was Emerson's heat fan. They called them heat fans because they were used to destratify heat, to push heat down from the ceiling from 83, 84 on to mid-90s. It's a K55 motor with these molded plastic Gossamer Wind style blades stuck on the bottom. This one still has the older style upper and lower canopies and the older style casing on the K55. These were only made for a few years, and then they switched over to a newer version with more conventional ball socket canopy. These are definitely beloved by collectors of vintage fans. They claim to have the most powerful CFM rating out of any commercial or industrial fan. There's something 40-some thousand CFM. I want to tell a story about this one. I pulled this out of a furniture store. I saw it in a furniture store when I was a kid and loved it. And then earlier this year, or maybe last year, I decided to go back to that furniture store and ask the owner if I could buy the fan from him, and he sold it to me. This is a Hunter Designer's Choice. It's kind of similar to their original, but it has a stack motor in it. It's very similar to their Comfort Breeze model, which was a stack motor fan that was more plain. I was just trying to think of some other Hunters. I wanted Hunter to be well represented because they're a very popular company that were fairly obscure and well liked by collectors, and this definitely fits the bill. I have a few of these. This one either came from eBay or it came from fellow collector Adam DeBauer of VintageCeilingFans.com. So I wanted to have some metal-bladed commercial industrial fans, and I wanted to have Moss represented because they were a very popular company in the early 80s. And this fits the bill for both. This is a Moss Caribbean Breeze. It's the very early version. That very few of these have been found. They switched over to a Taiwan-made version shortly after they started selling them, which are like weeds, but these are very obscure. It's labeled General Electric Company of England as the OEM, but it also says made in Singapore. So it technically wasn't sold as a commercial or industrial fan. It was sold as a residential fan. And I got this off eBay recently, specifically for the museum. I thought it would be a great fit. This is a fan with no motor in it at all, just for decoration. It was made by Key Largo, and I've seen them for sale in old Montgomery Ward catalogs of the late 70s and early 80s. Tom specifically asked for this. He loves it. I hate it, but I love Tom, and I will do whatever he asks. He said that he would sell this fan with a lifetime warranty, full parts and labor. So there you go. Speaking of Tom, here is a Casablanca Broadway Limited from his run at Casablanca. This is the K63 version. This is from the original run of man, my memory is failing me. I think they did 500 of these, and this is number 329. I got a video of this up, so you got to look at the video of this, and you can remind me. I can't remember if they did 250 of them or 500 of them. They did 250 of the Commodore, and then they would go back and forth between Commodores and Broadways and do slightly different variations. This is there was either only 250 of this version made or 500 of this version made. So either way, this is a pretty hard to find fan here. I got it off Craigslist years ago. I have a video of this up. I have a video of that. I have a couple videos of that. I have a video of the designer's choice. I have, I think, a couple Stratojet videos. So I think we're covered. This is an early version of what we were referring to as the blender fan. This was Emerson's answer to fans in the 60s and 70s. When fans started to become popular again, all I did was take one of their washing machine motors off the shelf and stick some blades on it. And that's all it is. And in this case, it didn't even have a switch housing. The pull chain came right out of the bottom of the flywheel. Let's see if you can see that. And the blades on it are kind of a MDF cardboard kind of thing. They switched to a fiberglass blade. Then they added the switch housing. Then they eventually switched to a 3-blade version with no switch housing, and then they eventually went from there to this, which is the same basic thing with the different blades. But collectors of vintage fans love blender fans in any form. Ironically, that name came from me and a friend of mine were probably in 5th grade, and I liked fans, and we used to see them in different places, and my friend said, "That looks like a blender with blades stuck on the bottom." And so I uploaded some pictures of them to wherever you put pictures in those days. It was long before PhotoBucket. And some other collectors found them, and everybody just started calling them blender fans because the pictures were called blenderfan.jpg or whatever. There is a video up of this. This came from Louis Weedman. This is a Casablanca Avalon. These are the Avalon blades, and I've actually put them here on a NASA motor, which is a 5-blade 4 Seasons motor. They were typically offered with the Lady Delta motor, but you could also mix and match them, and I wanted to do something a little different, just so you couldn't see, so you're not seeing something that you could see anywhere. And Tom specifically asked for this. This is an IntelliTouch one. I've got a video up of it. I think it's the first video that I took recently. I bought these blades on Craigslist years ago, and they just sat in my shop because I had nowhere to put it, so I was overjoyed when I found a place where they could finally hang up. This is a Crompton Greaves High Breeze, made in India and sold in the US under the Encon label. This is probably late 70s, possibly early 80s. This is the ornate version, which is pretty rare, and I bought this, I think, off of Craigslist specifically for the museum. I had one already, and then I wanted to find another one so I could put one here, since it's a great representation of Indian-made fans. It's the ornate version, which is pretty rare and sought after. I have a video of my other one, which is brown with cane blades. Okay. More unusual stuff. This is the Energy Reduction Systems fan. It's another copy of the Hunter original, but it's a very odd copy of Hunter original. You can see it has a stained glass sideband and a lower canopy. There are 500 watt bulbs in the motor housing, as well as a squirrel cage blower to blow the heat out. There are 2 pull chains. One is for the bottom light kit. The other pull chain controls both the lights in the housing and a variable speed control for the motor. Depending on how far you pull it, that adjusts the speed, and when you pull it quickly, that turns the lights on and off. There have been a few different versions of these found. This is the only one that has the built-in light on the bottom in addition to the light inside. And collectors love these. I think there's only maybe 3 or 4 of them known to exist, maybe 5. I got this off of eBay years ago, back before anybody had ever even heard of them. I just saw it, said that's really weird, and bought it. I have several different videos of this up. Glass shades are not original. I just like how they went with the stained glass in the housing. It would have came with tulip shades, but I thought that was rather dry. Okay, now here's a Hunter original. We've been talking about Hunter original copies. Here's the real thing. This is the version with sailcloth blades. Again, I wanted to have a Hunter original here, but I didn't want it to be one you could see anywhere. But this sailcloth version is from the early 90s and was offered for a brief time, I think as an outdoor fan. And it's another thing that's beloved by collectors, both of originals and 90s fans. This was a team effort. The motor came from Brian Hicks. Blades came from David Andrus of Fanfare Boca. The canopy came from Andrew Block. And the rest of the hardware and stuff came from me. It was pieced together specifically for the museum, since I had asked people what they wanted to see in the museum, and a lot of people had said they wanted to see a sailcloth original. I do have a video of it, I think a couple videos. Okay, here's an Evergo